AI actors are here to stay. 3D modeling only requires a single text prompt or image, and resolution is a thing of the past. And I'm not talking about your New Year's resolutions. Welcome to AI Film News. Let's kick things off talking about Meta. So Meta came out with this AI algorithm where they trained it on data of people basically having conversations and acting to the camera. They then interpreted all of that data and created an algorithm that essentially does automatic acting. You have the ability to upload an audio file, and it will actually do the face lip syncing and the actual motions of your actors.
I don't understand. I thought you loved my services. I mean, you progressed so much in yoga. You've done great. I can't believe you would go with yoga with Ashley. Like she's good, but everybody's going to her. Like, I thought you wanted something different.
It essentially combines different keyframes and uses AI to integrate and interpolate between those specific keyframes. In many ways, it's similar to classic 2D animation. So there are some really interesting examples on the white paper's website and online. I highly recommend checking out this tool, and the code is actually available for you to begin messing with right away. This last week, if you happen to be on Twitter, you probably saw the myriad of tech demos related to Magnific, which basically allows you to up-res an image 16 times to make it really, really large. Basically, people were taking that and zooming into all sorts of different things, whether it was a city scenescape or a cheeseburger, they basically were just zooming in. Now, there's not a ton of use cases in doing an infinite zoom like that, but I do think Magnific is really helpful for two specific things. Number one is having the ability to up-res assets. So I have this image here that is directly from Midjourney, and if we zoom in here, you can see that it's pretty darn pixelated. There's not a lot of detail in the person's face there, and it's just Midjourney, so there's not a ton of resolution. You couldn't blow this up and put it on a billboard just yet. But when we run it through Magnific, you can basically see that we get many, many more details, and we can begin to zoom in and see that, these books over here have high resolution. The reflection on the actual computer here looks realistic. The light has those streaks going through it to make it look realistic. And it just generally looks a lot better. So we basically went from an image that was a still from a lower HD resolution to almost 10,000 pixels wide. The second use case, which is really helpful for me because I do a lot of historical documentaries, is basically having the ability to get more resolution from old assets. So for example, I have this image from the Civil War from the Library of Congress. The image asset online is really low res. So in the past, my only option was really to get on a plane and fly to DC or convince someone in DC to go scan this asset for me, or you can use Magnific. So if we zoom in on the building here, you can see that it's just super pixelated. This image was really small. I think it was only 600 pixels wide, so really, really small. And whenever we run it through Magnific, we can now zoom in and you can see that there is a ton of information in the scene here. You can see that the building has a lot of detail, the soldiers have details, they have faces, and it's just wild to me to see the before and after. Now, is this image 100% photorealistic to the exact image that was shot back in the day? Of course not, but if you need it, especially for a quick asset on a documentary project, Magnific is an amazing tool and yields much better results than tools like Gigapixel. Moving on, let's kick it over to Runway. Runway also came out with the ability to clone voices using their new voice cloning tool. Let's take a look at how to use it. All you have to do is go to Runway's website, go to Generate Audio, and go to Text to Speech. Now, in order to clone the voice, you just go to Clone a Voice, and you can click Try It Now. Now, in order to clone a voice, it does require a few credits, but as long as you have enough credits in your account, you should be good to go. You can either upload audio or record your own audio. I recorded my own audio earlier to clone my voice. So once you've cloned your voice, all you have to do is type in the speech. I'll just type in this quick little line and we will select my cloned voice and click generate. This generation took about 5 seconds to create. Let's listen to the results.
Hey, I'm Caleb. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Curious Refuge, the world's first online home for AI storytellers. I believe that AI is empowering everyone to create incredible stories.
Okay, so the voice is a little boring compared to my typical voice, but it is pretty darn good for a really quick clone. Now, I want to compare that to Elevenlabs professional voice cloning. So I actually worked with Elevenlabs a few months ago to create a more professional cloned version of my voice using their tool, and I want to show you what those results are like compared to this result. So I'm inside of Elevenlabs, and I basically have my own professional voice here, and I will go ahead and click generate. Okay, let's listen to the result. Hey, I'm Caleb. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Curious Refuge, the world's first online home for AI storytellers. I believe that AI is empowering everyone to create incredible stories. So as you can see, the professionally cloned voice inside of Elevenlabs is a little better than Runway at this point. But if you need a really quick voice clone, the Runway option could be great for you. Pika Labs is also out of beta, which unfortunately means we're going to have to start paying to use Pika Labs. Now, they have 3 different membership tiers that are very similar to the Runway tiers that you may already be familiar with. The free version gives you about 20 generations, the standard version gives you about 70 generations, and the pro version gives you 200 quick generations and unlimited chill generations. So as you can see, the pricing is very similar to Runway, and if you use Pika Labs all the time like we do, we find that this is a great deal. The team at Meta also came out with a new feature on the Meta Quest 3 that basically lets you take iPhone videos or images and project them into your environment. So basically, you can relive experiences as if you were actually there. Now, this has huge implications for reliving memories and just experiencing life over and over again. Basically, you have the ability to go back in time and watch things that happened inside of your life. I'm sure that this technology will be integrated into Apple's Vision Pro coming out soon, but this is a very interesting beginning to this technology. In 3D modeling news, there's a tool that allows you to upload an image and get a 3D Gaussian splat. Now, we've talked about 3D tools like this one in the past. This is just another option that seems incredibly interesting. You can find a link below this video to start playing around with it. So all you have to do is drag and drop your image into the input image field and hit reconstruction. You can change this camera distance over and over again if you find that the generation isn't exactly what you were looking for. So now we have a 3D model of this mech suit, and we basically can click and drag and look around. And you can see that it rendered a pretty decent model. Now, of course, there's a lot to be said about resolution that we're looking for from this tool at the moment. But the truth is, this is the worst version of this tool that we are ever going to see. It's only going to get better and better. I do suspect that within about 12 months, uploading an image or typing in a prompt will be the primary way in which 3D models are created. Those models will then go to artists who will use tools like ZBrush to fine-tune the details and get them screen ready. But generally speaking, these tools are only going to get better and better. The team at Luma Labs also came out with a new feature for doing text to 3D models. So you don't actually need an image, you can just type in text to see a result. And this makes sense because they're also very popular for doing 3D captures as well. So all you have to do is go to their website, and don't get distracted by playing around with the Luma text here. It's so cool. And you can go to Imagine. And so we can type in anything we want. I'm going to say a dog wearing a hat. So now we have this 3D model that we can look around. We can change the shaders that are on the dog, and you can also make it high res. Now that takes a little bit of time, so I'm not going to show you right now, but I did create a high res version of a dog wearing a hat earlier, and this is the result. Now you can see that the texturing is fairly high res, like it looks pretty darn good, but the face, oh my God, I have no idea what's going on with this double-mouthed dog. So there's clearly some room to improve here, but I really think that this underlying technology, in conjunction with one of the image to 3D model tools that we talked about earlier, is really going to be the future of 3D modeling. And the cool thing is, using this tool, you already have the ability to download it in many different 3D styles, so you can upload them into 3D engines like Blender, Unreal Engine, or any other modeling tool that you may use. You know how whenever you are trying to generate an AI creation, getting the same character in your scene over and over again can be kind of a problem? Well, unless you train a custom LoRa model, you may not have the ability to get that character again and again. Well, those days might be over thanks to this tool called Artflow. So Artflow is an online image generation tool. They also have some other video tools. Really, they're looking to be a suite for people to create AI-generated characters for images and videos. Now, to use the tool, basically you can go to Character Builder, and you can create your AI actor, and then basically you just will upload images to train it on what you want your actor to look like. Now, I should note, you also have the ability to generate a character, which is a full body representation of what you want your character to be like. So if you have 3D models or full-size captures of your character from different angles, you can upload it here and it will actually render it into your scene. So as you can see, we have our model here, and now we're ready to create an actual image. So I'm going to go to Image Studio and let's create a new image. And basically this is very similar to tools like Leonardo. You can just type in whatever you're looking for. But in our instance, I want me to pop up. So I'm going to say @Caleb in Paris at sunset. And we'll say a cinematic still just to reinforce the overall realism that we're looking for. And the cool thing is, inside of this tool, you actually have the ability to use this button called Director Mode. And this is really interesting because you can actually change the composition and move your character around the scene. So for example, we can say that we want a little bit more of a close-up, a little bit more of like a full body shot. We'll do kind of a mid shot here, and we can move our character around. Maybe we move him like over here. Now it's not 100% perfect every single time, but it is a good start. So I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. So if we scrub through here, you can see that these images look pretty darn good. This guy clearly hit the gym a lot more than me, but the face is pretty close. And you can see that it actually adhered to that composition that we inputted, which is really interesting. Now, let's say that we like this image. The cool thing about working with this tool is you can just click on the 3 dots here and create a video with this image. So Artflow is really billing themselves as this all-in-one platform where you can do dialogue, character, lip syncing, image generation, consistent characters, consistent actors, all of those things in one platform. A team at Alibaba also came out with a new image to video tool that is kind of better than some of the other video generation tools that are on the market. Let me show you how to use it. So you can find the link below this video. It's all in Chinese at this point, but it's called i2v Gen. And at the top, you can type in a prompt. So we'll say a robot looks around at night and click this button that apparently stands for upload. So we have this image of a mech suit. And when you're ready to generate, just click the generation button. Now I've gone ahead and rendered this out already, and I want to show you the result. So here's the video result. You can see that it looks pretty darn good. Now, some of the movement and the parallaxing as it relates to the character and the background, it almost looks like he's on an elevator. So not the most realistic result, but also pretty good considering that this is a completely free tool and it just hit the market. So I wanted to compare this to some of the other tools that are out there. First, let's take a look at Runway Gen 2. So we have this result. Looks pretty good. That arm kind of disappears there towards the end. And there's just kind of that typical kind of runway flickering. So a little bit of an issue there. We also have Pika Labs, which created this video, which I don't know why Pika Labs decided to do a bit of a rack focus there. It's a cool cinematic effect, but I really wish it would have stayed focused on the main subject, so I probably would have re-rolled that. And finally, we have Stable Video Diffusion, which does not render out at 24 frames per second, but it does have really beautiful parallaxing, which is kind of native to Stable Video Diffusion. And you can see that it really rendered the backside of that mech suit in a very realistic way. And that brings us to today's game of the week. I'm going to show you 4 video clips. I want you to tell me which one is Runway, which one's Pika, which one's Stable Video Diffusion, and which one is I2V. For this week, we are going to take this image and just prompt in a woman looking around, so nothing fancy here. I took all of these video clips and up-res them using Topaz Video AI, our favorite tool for up-resing AI footage. So here is the first clip, the second clip, the third, and the fourth. The first person to write in with the correct answer will receive a free t-shirt from Curious Refuge from our unreleased merch shop, which will be dropping very soon. I should note that the Alibaba tool actually is natively in HD, but not in 24 frames per second. So there's a bit of a give and take there, but it's pretty cool to see that there are tools like this popping up on the market. The more competitive the landscape gets, the better the tools ultimately will be. I'd also like to thank everyone who joined us for the January session of our AI filmmaking course. This is going to be a fantastic session, and we actually did a live stream yesterday with Mauricio Tonin, who is a really talented filmmaker inside of the program. So if you're inside the course, be sure to be on the lookout for those live streams, as we're looking to do them every single month as the courses progress. There's also another text to animation tool that just dropped recently, and basically it allows you to type in text and get animation that looks pretty darn good. Now, the thing that makes this special is they actually have an application that you can download, and you basically have the ability to type in a prompt of what you want to see, and it will take that information and natively push it into tools like Unreal Engine. So again, this is very helpful, and you can imagine how whenever you pair this tool with an API in a large language model, you can begin to have AI-generated films in the future. Last week, we also released a new parody trailer for a Legend of Zelda film, and it was really funny because it actually kind of went viral online, and actually whenever you search for Zelda in Google, at least last week, it was popping up in the top result, which was absolutely wild. If you didn't have a chance to check it out, I highly recommend seeing it. It was created by Mike Fink, who is the teaching assistant inside of our AI filmmaking course. I think Mike did a fantastic job with the piece. And I actually love, there's this specific shot of a bird talking, and it looks pretty darn realistic, like it was actually animated. So I think that there's some really cool AI filmmaking skills on display there. And of course, it's pretty dang funny as well.
What?
There was also some code last week released for a tool that basically uses stable video diffusion, but allows you to get very precise and specific in the way in which you direct your scene. So think about like the Runway motion brush, or having the ability to adjust the camera, but also having the ability to tell your subject where to go. It's pretty cool, and basically it works by drawing little arrows in your scene, and you can animate everything from the camera moving to the subject actually moving across the scene. You basically just draw an arrow from one spot to the other, and it will actually animate. So there's some pretty cool examples of a horse walking, trains moving, cars driving, and generally it's cool to see that you have the ability to animate using a feature like this. I do imagine that we will see tools like this inside of some of the larger tools like Runway and Pika Labs very soon. If you're looking for a down and dirty way to do this immediately, the Runway motion brush is probably your best option. There's also a really interesting story that came out where AI discovered that a painting that had originally been attributed to Raphael was actually painted by someone completely different. AI basically determined that most of the painting was done by Raphael, but a specific part of the painting, a face of Joseph, was done by someone else. So it's really interesting to see how AI has the ability to validate information. A lot of times people tend to talk about AI generating assets, but at the same time, AI is really good at filtering and disseminating assets to determine if they were AI generated or not. That will be a huge role for artificial intelligence as we move forward in the future. The team at Volkswagen also said that pretty soon they will actually have Chat-GPT in their cars to where you can have a conversation with it. This is very similar to Tesla's announcements recently that said they would have Grok inside of their cars as well. So AI assistants are making their way into automobiles. And that brings us to our AI films of the week. So the first film that I want to show you was created by Dave Clark. It's really interesting because this film specifically is a combination of live action footage and AI generated assets and visual effects. It really shows how whenever you use all the tools in conjunction with one another, you can create a really cool result. Now, Dave has been going viral like crazy recently, and we actually had the chance to sit down with him last week, and we will be releasing a podcast episode with him next week. And on top of that, we have a very special announcement that involves Dave's. We'll let you know about it next week. The next film that I want to showcase is the Tinpot Jazz Orchestra that was created by William Bartlett. The film showcases really great curation and compositing skills. William's background is in visual effects, and so you can really see that he used his traditional visual effects skills with artificial intelligence to create a really cool scene. Our next film is Garlic by Nice Aunties. Nice Aunties is one of our favorite online artists when it comes to using artificial intelligence, and they created a really creepy, surreal scene that basically features religious overtones, and I think that the curation is really fantastic. It's really weird, but honestly, I recommend checking it out and following them online if you can. And finally, our student film of the week comes from Susuro Pictures, who put together this project that is basically a fake Hollywood blood commercial for cleaning up the blood from all of those Hollywood sets. So they did a fantastic job with this assignment. I recommend checking it out. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of AI Film News. Of course, you can subscribe on our website to get AI Film News directly to your inbox, and you can subscribe here to get the latest AI tutorials and film news directly here in YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.